Hey guys, Ken here from the Retro Toyscapades channel in Malaysia. Okay, we knew that this was coming up this week. Some big reveals were promised by the folks at Mattel, and some new images of upcoming MOTU Origins figures just hit online. First up, I'm really happy to see this rendition of the 2002 He-Man that they have coming out. I mean, this thing legit made me feel happy. This figure is based off the very first He-Man figure that I actually purchased and owned for myself all the way back in 2002. So it really is nostalgic for me in a completely different way. This is a He-Man that is dipping into memories, not from the time when I was a kid, but from when I was already in my 20s, alright? A young adult, enjoying the freedom of living on my own, enjoying being a bachelor, a time when I was actively dating, way before marriage or even divorce, stuff like that, and I was still into action figures at that point. And in a way, it's scary when you think about how fast time flies. And this year is in fact already the 20th anniversary of the original release of the 2002 line. This is a grittier take on He-Man that came in the aftermath of the new metal music era, after stuff like Korn, Limp Bizkit, and Slipknot already had 2 albums out by this point. Initially, I don't think that this version of He-Man was really actually embraced that well by fans, but in time, especially in the 20 years since, I think that a lot of people are looking back at the 2002 line right now and realizing just how amazing it was. Now, I still have that original 2002 He-Man figure, but maybe just from the waist up. The sculpting on these were fantastic. The construction of the figures just wasn't though, and they broke apart really easily. Okay, even the head on him has actually in fact cracked. Poor guy. Now look at the images of the Origins take on this figure. I'm really pleased that they didn't do just a figure version with some 2002 style colors that were slapped onto the Wave 1 He-Man figure. That's kind of like what they did with Evelyn in Wave 5. And when I think about how they tried to slap the 2002 branding on that Evelyn figure, I kind of just go, what the fuck? But when I look at the work that's done on this figure, I just feel that it's a real labor of love. I mean, we see an all-new head sculpt, hairdo, and harness, right? Which matches that of the 2002 figure, but this time it's on a fully posable Origins body. It's like looking at the hairstyle, the hair color, and even the grimace, that facial expression on the 2002 figure. I just feel like they nailed it. And the belt buckle area, man, they could have just reused a standard waist from an Origins He-Man figure, but they went all out to give us something that's very close to the 2002 interpretation. I love it, alright? I love this attention to detail. And when I look at the shield, man, that is definitely the 2002 shield right there, right? It just looks amazing. The grayish tones with the red mixed in. I love it, all right? If I bring out the original from 2002 here, this thing was just soaked in so much detail, all those tiny little circular bits, all those edges and stuff like that, and the Origins shield appears to have replicated most of this. Now, the sword appears to have something of a silver finish to it. I'm not sure, but if that's true, then it's just freaking amazing, okay? It does look a bit devoid of some of the 2002 colors, all right? There was a bit of green and red mixed into the handle of that power sword, as you can see here. But however, these are probably just early prototype images, okay? And by the way, you know what? That original 2002 power sword, this thing is just freaking huge. Now, similarly, what we're able to see of his giant battle axe, the one that he's carrying on his back there, it looks mainly silver. Maybe it's a glossy silver finish, but it doesn't appear from here that there seems to be any other colors here like on the 2002 original. Now, this thing has got colors that very closely match that of the power sword, with a little bit more yellow thrown in too. And it's got silver reflective paint, okay? Yeah, look at this thing. Is this thing hypnotizing? Then we have the good King Randor, and I can't really be sure, but he's looking rather jovial. Alright, this is a pretty happy king. I guess all must be well in Eternia. Yep, that right there is definitely the expression of a ruler that looks very much pleased. The 80s Randor figure, by comparison, had a look that was way more serious and stern. Just look at his face here, okay? This is the look that Liam Neeson gives you, right before he tells you that, you just didn't bring enough men if you wanted to stop him. Overall, this interpretation of Randor looks exactly like how I imagined him to turn out. Boring. However, by comparison to the Randor figure that came out in the 1980s, that figure is very rare today. And I know a lot of collectors out there that don't have him. I'm not sure that the same collectors also necessarily want him for their collection. Okay, they don't have him, but I don't know if they want him. But this would be a great opportunity to own him again. Aside from the facial sculpt, we can also expect a difference or an improvement in the quality of the weapon staff. Now, the original was quite soft and bendable, as I recall. The quality of the Origins version that you see here should be far more sturdier. Also, Randor's cape is now different. It's now made out of harder material instead of the soft cloth cape that came with the original. I guess the cape here would be made of the same material that came with the Wave 2 Scareglow. Now, overall, this is a great second opportunity for most collectors to own a King Randor vintage style action figure. But overall, if you never really cared much for the character in action figure form to begin with, there's really nothing here that's going to make you change your mind. Also, I've seen a couple of comments from followers stating that they felt the King Randor character or the action figure reminds them a lot of the Burger King mascot. So, just for the hell of it, I'm just putting in a picture of the Burger King mascot right here. Now, last of all, we get to what appears to be a Teela and Zoar 2-pack spectacular. When rumors of this set were first circulating, admittedly, I wasn't too thrilled at the prospect of seeing yet another reuse of that Teela action figure mold. However, looking at these images here, we see that her serpent staff and weapon sword accessories are now given a very captivating gold finish, instantly elevating the desirability of this set. Now, you know what? I can't be sure, but the face portrait could be similar or it could be all new. If it's all new, then that's just the sort of news that we want to hear. I did wonder though why the shield wasn't given a splash of gold paint too. Maybe they needed it to blend with the headdress armor, Guys, the figure that I was surprised to be disappointed with was Zoar, and that's because it looks like an exact copy of the vintage 1982 original. Now, yes, I do know that Origins is largely supposed to be a homage to the original figures, but when it comes to more deluxe stuff like the vehicles and creatures, I do expect to see some improvements. That's mostly what we've gotten so far as well previously, especially with stuff like the recent release of things like Origins Stridor, the Stridor Battle Horse. Now, that Stridor, I gotta say, that was about as similar to the vintage original as a MOTU Classics figure is to a Funko Pop. Now, the vintage Zoar figure from 1982, the figure, as you can see here, it was okay for its time, but it's definitely not up to modern day standards. The entire Falcon mold was reissued from a 70s toy line, I believe it was Mattel's Big Jim, and just given a paint redeco and some new armor. There aren't even any posable parts except for the wings, which can flap at the press of a button. Everything else is just a block. Now, when it comes to this new figure here, I'm not sure if there's going to be any additional posable parts. Maybe the head and perhaps the feet are on ball joints so you can move them around. I guess we're just going to have to see. But there's one thing here that I hope that they definitely improved on. They probably have. And that's the stand that you perch Zoar on. Alright, now the original one was actually pretty flimsy. And after a period of time, it just couldn't support the weight of Zoar on it anymore. Okay guys, so that's the video. Now let me know in the comment section what you guys think of the new figures. Let me know what you thought of the video, and I'll catch you guys again real soon with more content. Thank you for joining me, and take care out there. Yeah, if the 21st century He-Man can come back, then so can Skeletor.